when I came to this town. There was nothing that was holding me back. Couple years of running around, you start to question your convictions. Long car, jet black, fast loving, that's a fact. Mind those words that you say. High heel, gold strap, cold heart will pay it back. Mind those games that you play. Back then you were a friend of mine. Everything was black and white. The city life has changed your mind. Expose the gray of your convictions. Long car, jet black, hard loving, break your back. Mind those words that you say. High heel, gold strap, cold eyes won't change the fact. Mind those games that you play. Long car, jet black, fast loving, that's a fact. Mind those words that you say. High heel, gold strap, cold heart will pay it back. Mind those games that you play. Long car, jet black, hard loving, break your back. Mind those words that you say. High heel, gold strap, cold eyes won't change the facts. Mind those games that you play.
What's all right? Testing. All right, here we go. Everybody, here we go. All right, here we go. And Lord, I'm and I trust, and Lord, I'm and I share this message. Good evening. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we here on Tuesday. I'm gonna start making my way in here at least 3 days a week. Good now. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Sorry for the little technical scrap. But here we go. So we're going to be discussing tonight. Well, first and foremost, and Lord, again, in Lord Amen, we trust, and in Lord Amen, we thank, and in Lord Amen, I share this message. Good evening. I'm your host, the intellectual Lord Benjamin Manhattan. This is Supreme American TV. And tonight we're going to be discussing, why did scientists link human beings to primates? This is a very, very important topic, especially now. Especially now. Why is it important? Because you see the behavior of certain people out there, people who are other than us, and a lot of people who are, looking like us, who carry this mentality, this behavior. So why is this, important to know? Why did scientists link certain human beings, to primates? You already see who's at the end of that primate chart. You already see who's at the end of the human primate chart. When Dr. Charles Darwin, one of their respected scientists, one of the Caucasian respected scientists, linked human beings to primates, they, came about that conclusion through observation. They came about that conclusion through observation, that man must have evolved from monkeys. The idea of evolution and growing from something is a natural thought process, because we know that all things in life grow to a certain level, evolve to a certain level. And so your scientists understanding this, people like your Charles Darwin, begin to study the origins of mankind. Now, keep in mind, they put the image of Caucasian males up as the image of mankind. He did not include every race of male. He only put up Caucasian male at the end of the primate to man chart. He only put them up. He didn't put up everybody else. Caucasian males don't speak for every life form on Earth. So if they put up the image of a Caucasian male at the end of the chart, then that's saying that through observation, Charles Darwin had to look at how primates looked, and he had to look at how Caucasians looked. And he noticed similarities in the look of Caucasians and primates, monkeys. Obviously he had to notice the difference, because the first scientific experimentation is observation. You have to observe things, and based on what you're seeing, based on the similarities of what you're seeing, you are going to start making experimental statements, or scientific or so-called scientific statements about your findings when it comes to human life, when it comes to the science of human life and the evolution and the answer to the question of where life started from and how mankind evolved. It was very interesting that he picked primates and not any other animal. It's very interesting. Okay. It's very interesting that he picked primates. You ever wonder why? Because again, he looked at from his sight how primates look and how humans look. Now it's funny, because you got these racist Caucasians out here who will say black people look like monkeys, but here it is. They're one of their respected scientists, Darwin, who they still speak about today, linked Caucasian males to primates. That's what he was saying. Obviously, through his observation, he looked at the people who he saw to look like primates, like monkeys. And what did he do? He said, this must be where these people come from. This must be where these people or his people evolved from. That's what he said. He didn't put black people at the end of the chart. He didn't put no other race of people at the end of the chart. He put white, Caucasian male at the end of the evolutionary chart of monkey to man. Nowhere on that chart is a so-called black man. So where did the Caucasian people get this idea that black people look like monkeys? Where do they get this idea from? Is it a form of deflection to hide something deep down inside that they know about themselves? Is that really what it is? Let's examine that. Because, like I said, they stay talking about how black people look like monkeys and we this, that, and the third. But again, they forget about the first link or the first connection to primate to human connection. That was through their own scientist, Darwin, and he linked them, nobody else. Now, if Darwin lived in the world, he saw every race of people on the planet, black people, so-called black people, white people, Asian people. And out of all the people who he said came from monkeys, he chose his own people. He chose his own people. Out of all the people that he would say would come from monkeys, why would he choose his own people? Again, this is looks now, observation wise. He got access to looking at all these people. And what made him say, okay, mankind, the Caucasian man, is a product of some evolution of primates. Why would he say that? He had to look at a few things. He had to look at the hair texture. The hair texture gave it away. He had to look at the hair texture. He saw the same straight fur that the monkeys have, the primates have, and he saw that also in Caucasian people. He saw the same straight hair, the same fur, right? Because it said humans have fur, they don't have hair. So they obviously, he observed that, right? He observed the thin lips, the thin pursed lips that the humans have. They got those thin monkey lips. I remember Eddie Murphy pointed that out in Saturday Night Live, and people laughed at it and whatnot, but that was a real, sensitive moment. Like I said, when he said, they say black people look like monkeys, he said, but white people, he said, actually look like monkeys. Eddie Murphy said that, right? And then you get down to the pale skin of the monkey, the fleas and ticks the monkeys carry. You see a lot of the ear size of the primates. A lot of these old Caucasians, when they become elders, they have those very huge monkey-like ears, thin monkey lips, fur like the monkeys. And the Planet of the Apes movies, who's always playing the monkeys? Who's always playing the monkeys in the Planet of the Apes movies? It's never black people. So again, this was based on observation. This was based on observation and also behavior. They don't say that, but obviously had to be behavior, because scientists not only study physical appearance, they also study and observe actions, right? Right? Don't they all study action? They study the actions. They watch for actions, right? They watch for how the behavior of humans and monkeys or primates, right? How the primates get upset, can have vicious tempers, very strong, very, so, and noticing that, observing that, he came up with the conclusion that the only thing that humans could have evolved from, right, with the Caucasians at the front, was monkeys, primates, right? Because he could have because some people say, well, he was talking about all mankind. Well, if he was, why wasn't black people on the chart? Did they just admit something? Because black people look drastically different from monkeys. We don't have straight hair. We don't got pale skin. We don't have thin lips. We don't get fleas and ticks in our hair. We don't have an animal behavior. We don't act like animals and savages when we get angry. We don't do that. You see? Yeah, they say we look like monkeys. Right? And, it's funny that they say that. It was you say somebody said George Bush. I saw it. There was an old, if y'all get a chance, look up this old comedian. He passed away. His name was George Burns. How many of y'all remember George Burns? Look at George Burns. All right. If you look at George Burns, he had those huge monkey ears, thin monkey lips. You see, very primate looking. So they was going with the primitive look, right? Because again, They acknowledge that man has a primitive. They say that the scientists say that man has a primitive origin. Mankind has a primitive origin, right? So, being that they didn't put so-called black people into those evolutionary growth, where did black people come from? If Darwin was only speaking for Caucasians, where did black people come from in this evolution, in this process, and where did black people come from on this, on this totem pole? Because if they were trying to, basically downplay black people, they would have put them somewhere a little bit after the monkey, and then got to the so-called white man, to the Caucasian, but they didn't. So where did black people come from? Where did black people come from? Hmm? The chimpanzee, the rhesus monkey, right? Now, I'm not saying that's where so-called black people come from. I said that humans link their genetic material back to chimpanzees and rhesus monkeys. There's also another genetic missing. There's a canine genetic missing in there as well. There's a canine genetic missing within the human gene pool, which I'm pretty sure your scientists know about, but they don't speak about. Okay? There's a canine genetic there. Because obviously, in the creation of mankind, notice the term creation. In the creation of mankind, what is a creation? A creation is something you put together, something you make, something you whip up. Like, you'll make reference to food that you make up. You say this is a creation. This is something that you just put together from existing material parts and whatnot. You create from things that already exist. So obviously, the primates were on Earth before human beings. Primates were on Earth before mankind, right? Or at least Darwin is saying the primates were walking the Earth before the Caucasians and all these other people. So they trace their origins back to the primate, right? But also they'll find the jackal, or what people call the canine, inside of the human bloodline, which explains a lot. Again, the same fur that comes out of their hair, the same fur that comes from all over their body. Sometimes they're covered in old fur. You can include the Asians, the Caucasians, the Hindus. All those are the same people, those same part of the human race. You see, they refer to them as mankind, mammals, mankind. Nowhere in that equation do black people fit. Nowhere. Nowhere on the primate evolutionary chart do black people fit. So when they sit up here calling us monkeys and things like that, that's deflection. That's deflection. Nobody ever brings up the fact that the whole connection of monkey to man came from their own people, linking them. Nobody ever brings that up. Yeah. And when I said that they're going to eventually make mention of the canine genetic in the human race, so science is going to eventually mention it, it'll explain a lot when it comes to the proclivity of these people for their dogs. They have a sexual proclivity. A lot of them have a sexual proclivity toward their dogs, right? Sometimes engaging in sexual intercourse with their animals. Now, they engage in sexual intercourse, many of them, with their animals, because they actually see themselves on the same level with their animals. There was just a story in the news about this Caucasian woman, this cave woman. She just married her dog. Now, am I racist for pointing this out? Am I racist for pointing out the fact that this cave woman, this female Caucasian, married her dog? I posted the story on my Facebook page. Not to mention, there was a story about this Caucasian male who got busted having sex with his dogs, right? He got busted having sex with his dog. This lady's name, the one who married her dog, she said her name is Jenny Lewis, celebrated her 50th birthday by marrying her dog. By actually marrying her dog. Nobody says anything about this. Nobody finds this strange. That why these people have, it's a common thing now. It's very common where these people are found having intercourse with their animals. This guy, I brought out that the guy from the reality TV show, got caught. An A&E reality TV show got caught having having child porn and bestiality. He was performing bestiality on his animals. I think they videotaped it, and they're probably making his dog give him some head or whatever, doing some weird stuff, and had child porn. Now, again, why do these people have a proclivity for this degenerate behavior? Why do they have a proclivity for this degenerate behavior? Why are they so connected into this? Again, I find it strange. Nobody says anything about this. Nobody berates them. Now, if black people did this, if black people partook in any of this type of behavior, we'd be called all kind of savages and animals and things like that. If we did half the things these people did, they would call us that. But they have a way of ignoring these things when it comes to them, and they deflect onto us. They deflect onto us because they know that we are nowhere near the level of degeneracy and depravity of them. So they have to deflect that energy back on us, that we don't have that natural inclination to do degenerate things like this. Bestiality, child porn. We don't have that. Nor do we have that animalistic behavior when it comes to social settings and things like that. There really should be no such thing as racism. I said this before, if we all are the same race. It should be no such thing as racism. How can there be a such thing as racism if we're all the same race and we all come from the same creation? There should be no such thing as racism. But just in that explanation of the link between mankind and primates, they're letting us know that there really is no connection between us and the humans other than the mitochondria DNA. Now, the mitochondria DNA, along with the primate genetics, is what produces the human race. Who does the mitochondria DNA come from? The mitochondria DNA comes from, as they say, an African Eve or so-called black woman. This is where they say it comes from. This is their explanation of the existence of mankind. Mankind has primate genetics, rhesus monkey genetics, jackal genetics, or canine genetics, and mitochondria DNA of an African woman. And from this mashup of all these different genetic materials comes the human race. Out of that creation, whoever was putting all of those different ingredients into creating mankind, obviously, when they make reference to a creator, they're talking about the people who mixed this genetic cocktail to create mankind. Mankind is a creation. Mankind is an experiment. The human race is an experiment. Because whenever you got to take different genetic materials from animals and genetic material from other races of people to create a whole new race of people, because that's what the human race was. The human race was a whole new created race on Earth that was produced by a first race that was here, that was produced by an original people that was here. You see, this first race of people produced the human race. This first race of people who were projected into this three-dimensional space from a fourth dimension, from a complete space, a higher space, meaning what they would call heaven or a higher realm. Those people who projected here, solar projected here, appeared here on Earth, produced humans from their genetic material and from the animals that were here. So mankind had the genetic material of their creators and animals, lesser creatures of the earth. That is what makes up mankind. Class. Now, obviously there had to be a first people here on Earth before man, because who produced man? Who produced mankind? Who put this genetic cocktail together of animal genetics and mitochondrial DNA from a so-called African Eve? Who put that all together? They didn't just mesh together. They didn't just form together. Somebody had to put those genetic materials together to get the human race, to get mankind, to get the Hindus, which are the East Indians, your Arabs, your Caucasians, your Asians, all of those people who are European Asiatics or Asiatic people with the straight hair, fur-like hair like animals. Because keep this in mind, again, your humans have animal hair. They have fur like animals. Nobody points that out. Nobody points out that which is obvious. They stay trying to find, when it comes to our people, trying to link us to monkeys. They stay trying to look at our features and talk about us. But when we point out the obvious features and their obvious connection to primates and also to canines, people get bent out of shape and say you're crazy. Well, how crazy can you be? Because wouldn't that explain the behavior of mankind? Wouldn't that explain the behavior, the useless unaliving of whole civilizations of people and savage, barbaric behavior? Wouldn't the animal genetic in them explain that? Because they can't say, nobody else will be able to say humans are linked to animals. Humans are linked to animals. Okay? Human beings are linked to animals. And the reason why human beings are linked to animals is because they have the genetic material of the animals within them. Okay? The humans are linked to the animals. And like I said, it was obvious that a race of people walked the earth before the human race and took their genetics and the animal genetics to create human beings. That's how human beings really came about. Now, who are those people? Who was that first race of people to walk the planet Earth who were not human, who created the human race? Who was that first race of people? Your so-called black people, your almond race. The almond race were the first race to walk the planet Earth, the almond race. Before the human race, there was the almond race, who are currently known as black people today. This is why, if you notice, we don't look like nobody else here. Notice that? We don't look like nobody else here. Notice the Asians, the Caucasians, the East Indians, the Hindus, the people with dark skin, the same straight hair like the white man. They all are connected genetically. They are all connected genetically through that primate genetic. That's why they have straight hair, fur like the animals. They're all linked to that primate genetic. They're all linked to that canine genetic. Okay, exactly. They're genetic mutants. Your humans are genetic mutants. They are not a real race of people. They are a created race of people. And they will admit that there was a creation, obviously, because the human beings are not natural. They're not natural life forms. Human beings are not natural life forms. Now, somebody might say, well, what's a natural life form if human beings are not? Natural life forms are life forms that grow or project into a space as full-on beings. In other words, they grow from one stage to another, but they're in existence. That is your so-called black people. Because if you notice, nobody can find where or link black people to any kind of animals on Earth. Black people cannot be linked to any kind of animals on Earth, but your humans can. They can be linked to the primates, and they can be linked to the canines. Black people have not been linked. They can call us monkeys and say all kinds of stuff they want about our people, but they can't link us to any animals. They can't point to anything on us and say that looks like an animal. They can't. They can't point to our hair, because we don't get fleas and ticks in our hair. They do. They get this, and the fleas and ticks go into their hair because they recognize the same hair as the animals. They recognize the same hair of the animals as they recognize the humans. That's why the fleas and ticks are attracted to their hair, because they see it as the same fur. That's why they go into that's why they have to put flea and tick medication in their hair. You're humans. You see, again, your scientists refer to human beings as a species of animal. Why do scientists do that? Why do scientists refer to humans as a species of animal? Because obviously, again, they went even further beyond Darwin, and they were able to find, when they actually started taking genetic samples of human beings, they already knew, okay, well, and trust me, they done did it. They done put it under microscopes, and they done put human genetics next to monkey genetics, next to primate genetics. They got canine genetics. So they know, scientists know. Okay, they know. They because if they say that's not true, then explain how is it that humans are born with tails? A lot of humans are born with tails, like monkeys and like dogs. Humans are born with tails, a lot of them, and they are removed at birth. Humans are born with tails. Why? Because that's the animal genetic that's coming out of them. That's why. From the creation, when they were created by the first race of people that walked the earth, the Amun race, which we are the descendants of those first people that walked the earth. When they were created to serve that race of beings, that Amun race, that race of lords that walked the earth. Mankind was created for that. They were created to serve the Lord, or serve that race of lords that walked the earth, known as the Amun race, of people who were projected here from a higher dimension, an upper dimension known as the fourth dimension, or what people refer to in your biblical texts as heaven, or a extended space beyond the three-dimensional realm in which we live, people, place, and possession. So as our people were inserted into this three-dimensional picture and to this incomplete space, as we were inserted here upon the projection of this space, the lesser projection of this space, because I said before, Earth is nothing but a lower version of an extended space. Earth is a lower version of an extended space, of a higher space in which we are evolving into. Earth represents the bottom of something higher. Earth represents the bottom of something higher. And what is that bottom? Earth is the bottom of the fourth dimension, or what they call heaven. There's an extended earth beyond this earth that we are evolving into, because if not, then how do we go forward? How do we have things that appear in real time that weren't here before? Like I pointed out, the fact that, when our people came into, when the world was coming into the 20th century, that represented an extension of Earth, because through technology that came, like airplanes, like computers, like cars, all these technologies that came about, that meant that we crossed into a space where all of these technologies and the ideas for these technologies were filling that space, whereas previously it didn't before. So as we crossed into this, into the 20th century, within the third dimensional space, all these ideas were in the air, thick and hanging in the air for people to pick up and receive. And that's where the thoughts were coming in to fruition. They were being picked up a lot by our people. A lot of it came through our people, and a lot of our people's inventions and technical contributions were stolen, because they didn't let our people at one point in time get patents and trademarks. But a lot of that technology came through our people. Like, for example, the airplane, which before the Wright brothers was the guy who made something called the airship, right? They called it the airship, but so the Caucasians could get the jump on it. They called it the airplane, and they make you think the Wright brothers was the first ones who did that. No, it was a bronze man, so-called black man before that, because we always usually do things before the humans do. We always usually do things before them, because we are before them. We are before them. They are after us. We always do things first, because we were the first ones to touch the earth. We were the first ones to walk the earth. We produced mankind on earth. Don't let them think that the creation of mankind, the human race, was some divine, higher inspiration. Don't let them tell you that. You see, prior to Darwin, these Caucasians, the human race, they had this idea of themselves through this, false story of God, some God in the clouds creating them and bringing them into existence and making them in their image and after their likeness, from some white God sitting in the air, some white Jesus. But the reality of it is that none of these characters that they push forward to explain their origin on earth, none of these characters are real. What is real, what is very real, is what Darwin said. Because, see, a lot of people were bent out of shape when Darwin came out with this monkey to man theory, this monkey to man ideology that they still use to this day. So obviously your scientists who did not throw out Darwin's theory on the human race, obviously they took some stock in that, and obviously they went further with it because they later brought out that the humans have a percentage of rhesus monkey blood and rhesus monkey genetics in them, that humans are linked to primates. So obviously Darwin was correct in his observation of mankind. Obviously he was correct. You see, obviously he was correct in his observation of mankind. And they also went on. Yeah, the bronze man's name was Charles Frederick Page, that was the originator. He made the airship. Thank you, Charles Frederick Page. You don't know nothing about him. You see. So the Christian religion and portrayal of a white God and a white Jesus, that was created by them to explain their origins. See, the only reason they created God and Jesus, that was a way to explain the origins of mankind, because prior to that time they really had no idea where they came from. And people start to question their their existence on earth. People after a while start questioning it. So as they started questioning, they came up with this idea that they come from some higher power. And do you know where that originally comes from? Do you know where that originally comes from? That they come from a higher power that produced them on earth or created whatever. You know where that comes from? That comes from us. That idea of them coming from a higher place, a heaven or whatever the case may be, a higher state, that comes from us. That doesn't come from them. Because they never believed in any higher power, and they really still don't to this day. They never believed in no higher power, and they still don't. They don't, or should I say, they don't believe. They don't believe that. They don't believe that they're connected to any higher power. They don't believe that. Human beings do not believe they are connected to any higher power, because if they actually believed that, then they wouldn't do the things they do. Their mindset wouldn't be so low and base and degenerate if they actually believe in a higher power, or that they're connected to a higher power. That idea of a higher power, or them coming from a higher power or a higher reality, that comes from them copying us, because in the ancient world, that's all our people talked about, our connection to the sun and solar projection and energy and power and things like that, and people in outer realms. That comes from them copying our people. That idea came from us. Prior to that, these were people that were crawling around on all fours, covered in fur, and it makes sense that they were crawling around like that, because they tell you that's the origin of mankind. They tell you early man. Now, again, the story is conflicting about early man. Early man, they'll tell you from the religious standpoint, they tell you that some God in the sky created Adam and Eve, and they showed them as white people, and that's what God did. He created white people, and everybody else with dark skin is cursed. This is what they taught, right? And that this white God loved his white people and everything. And this is where white people came from God and Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. But then they teach about cave people. Do they not teach about cave people? Yes or no? So do they teach that they also teach that they come from people in the caves? Yes? Is that right? Yeah, they call themselves spiritual, but they're not knowing of solar. But so okay. So they say that, but then they'll talk about some Adam and Eve creation, but then they talk about being in caves, right? So if they talk about being in caves, then isn't that a contradiction to the whole Adam and Eve story that they preach to the world? They preach to the world that some God on a higher level created them in their image and after their likeness. In other words, this God and Jesus were white, but then they talk about being cave people and crawling around on all fours covered in fur. They brought this out. So what kind of higher power would create something like this? What kind of higher power would create a people that are crawling around on all fours and covered in hair? What kind of gods would create, or higher power would create something like that? Right or wrong? Does that not contradict their belief in Jesus and God? Contradicts with the caveman story. Now, the caveman story is a real story. They show images of themselves as cave people. They show images of themselves as Neanderthals, Cro-Magnon man. Now, what kind of God created them in these kind of primitive stages? Wouldn't a supreme power create them as supreme beings, upright people with no hair all over their body, not growing tails? That sound like somebody that was doing an experiment, and the experiments, like all experiments, some of them come out messed up, some of them come out okay, some of them come out. That sounds like an experiment. Because again, the real story is that these people were in caves, that they were covered in fur. They were called, if you look up something called the wild men of Europe, look up the wild men of Europe. The wild men of Europe was a time where Caucasian people started coming on the scenes in Europe and coming out of the Caucasus Mountains, and they were running around on all fours covered in fur. Now that represents the creation of these people, where obviously it was stored up in mountains and caves. After the creation of these people, they were stored away from the people, and they were supposed to be civilized by their creators. Obviously, this was an earthbound thing. Obviously, humans were created on Earth, not no higher or upper place. Because if they were created from a higher space, there would have been no caveman, period. There would have been no Cro-Magnon man, primitive man, period. That was all created here on Earth. Because let me tell you something. When they talk about our people, there was no time where black people were ever cave people, primitive people, all that. There was no time where black people were ever, so-called black people were ever linked to any primates. That's a lie. They're never going to be able to show you any pictures of any primitive black people because they don't exist. Whatever pictures they showing you now are made up pictures. Those pictures did not exist 10 and 15 years ago. They started making pictures up because when the white man had plenty of images of himself and how they really looked, ancient pictures of how they really look, how they were crawling around on all fours, covered in fur, and in the caves and whatnot. So they had pictures of themselves like that. Okay, they had pictures of themselves like that. They don't have those images. They don't readily make those images show now. But if you look up the wild men of Europe, where did that come from? Why would wild people with covered in fur be created by a higher power? Right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Why would these people who are supposed to be higher or supreme beings, why would a higher power create them with all these genetic defects? Humans have a lot of genetic defects. Human beings have a lot of genetic defects, a lot of flaws. Okay? They have a lot of genetic defects, a lot of genetic flaws. And the reason why is because, again, when you create something, it's an experiment. When you create something, it's an experiment. These people were created on Earth by scientists. Human beings were created by a race of scientists on Earth who were so-called black people. Caucasians were created by black people. Bronze, indigenous people, so-called black people, that Amun race of people, that first race of people. You know the names we give now. That's why we don't look like anybody here. That's why I said we a whole different species. We're not just a different, because again, race means species. We are a whole different race and species, which makes sense as to why racism exists, because the Caucasians know that we're not the same race. They know that we're not the same race as them. They know that we're a totally different species. Notice how all of them get together, the Caucasians, the Asians, the Hindus, all them people with the straight hair, they all feel a camaraderie and a brotherhood with each other that they don't feel with our people, because all them people I just mentioned, they cannot stand our people. They cannot stand so-called black people. They hate our people because we're not the same as them. And that even go for your dark-skinned Hindus who have skin darker than us, but they got the same straight hair. Those are not our people. You have people like Runoko Rashidi, this guy gonna talk about those people are our people. Let me tell you something. Them Hindus and them dark-skinned people with their straight hair is not our people. They're not. Okay? All right. They were created to do more than just mine gold. They were created to do more than just mine gold. They were created to also fight. They were created to be servants, do everything that the first race of people, the Amun race, didn't want to do. Again, the first race to project here was the Amun race, and black people are the lost seed of that Amun race. Black people are the lost Amun race on Earth. And see, because they don't have no true knowledge of who they are, because they believe that they have actual creation origins. Again, there was no creation of black people. Our people were always here in the earth's atmosphere, above the three-dimensional realm that we're walking in of people, place, and possession. We were always here. And people don't understand that the concept or the idea or the reality of a people always being in existence, always being present. Well, again, if you acknowledge that there's certain things that have no beginning and no ending, that are eternal, then that's not far-fetched, because energy and life forms are continuous. And energy and life forms are continuous. Even the human race, their energy comes from us. That's why they're able to live, but they also die and they're reborn again or recycle again because of the genetic material from us. Because we know animals can go extinct, right? Animals can go extinct. Which brings me to another point. When I say animals tend to go extinct, all animals at certain points go extinct. Now, being that the humans have animal genetics in them, does it make sense that you start to see their numbers dwindle? You ever wonder why, the white population of Caucasians, their numbers are starting to dwindle? Why they're no longer able to produce like they used to produce? They even saying it themselves. It's not something I'm making up. Their birth rates are low. It's because of those animal genetics. The animal genetics in them that are starting to regress. The animal genetics in them that are not mass producing, because obviously, just like all animals, humans are included. Again, I'm not meant being insulting. I'm only using scientific terms because the scientists refer to human beings as a species of animal. Look that up. Scientists, for all those people who may be listening who think, oh, well, this guy trying to insult white people. No, I'm not. I said the human race. The human race includes white people, Asian people, Hindus, all the people with straight hair, the same type of straight hair. The only people who are not part of the human race is so-called black people. Totally different species. Look at our genetics, our genotype and phenotype. It's different from everybody. So just like all animals at certain points, all species of animals have an expiration date. The humans are no different. The humans are no different. Their expiration date is coming. And that's why, it's already started. That's why a lot of them are not rejuvenated. And it ain't just the Caucasians. It's all of them, the Asians, all of them, they're having problems mass producing. The reason why they're having problems mass producing is because they are no longer connecting to the mitochondria DNA of the black woman. They need the mitochondria DNA of the black woman to regenerate their bloodline. In other words, they're going to have to mix their seed with the black woman. And this is why, if you notice that you see here in America and in the UK and a lot of places, they pushing white men with black women. Why are they pushing white men with black women over white women? Why is it every time you turn around, you seeing, and it's like they pushing white men with black women? They're not pushing. Why wouldn't they? If you have a racist society and you say that your race is superior, then why are you not pushing white men with white women? Answer: because they can't mass produce. The reason why they're pushing white men with black women is because black women can mass produce. Black women can mass produce. Black women could extend their bloodline. White women cannot. Because if they could, you would be seeing them pushing white couples. They can't extend it. White women might be able to produce 1 or 2 children, but they're not known for having huge families. Not like that. I mean, you might have an anomaly of them, but that's not the exception to the rule. A lot of them, they have very small families. They don't have a lot. They don't have a bunch of children like that. They're not really fertile people. Your Caucasians and all these people are not fertile people. You see, and that's mainly because the mitochondria DNA in the human race is starting to run out. Because remember, where does the mitochondria DNA come from? According to them, now this is not me. It's according to them, because people say, "Oh, this sounds pseudo, brother." This is from them. You go look this up. Where does the mitochondria DNA come from in them? You see, where does it come from? Yeah, it comes from the so-called black woman. It comes from the so-called black woman. Now, how did the black woman's they said that everybody has the mitochondrial DNA of some African Eve. That's what they say, some so-called black woman. So my question is this: how did that happen? How did mitochondrial DNA get into the human race? These Caucasians and all these other people. How did mitochondrial DNA get inside them? Where did it come from? Answer: the mitochondrial DNA of so-called black women was used in the creation of the human race. In fact, the mitochondrial DNA gives them the ability to mass produce. Now, because the mitochondrial DNA is starting to fade out in these humans, they're starting to go more into that. Then they're no longer able to mass produce. The mitochondrial DNA gives you the ability to mass produce. You see, it gives that, they don't tell you that, but it gives you the ability to mass produce. And when that's not there, when it starts to die out, then the people start to die out. They're starting to go the way of the animals that are becoming extinct on Earth, your human race. That's why their numbers are dwindling. That's why, again, they have to, in order for them to survive, they got to mix with black women. Again, they pushing a mixed race society in the future. Why do you think they're doing that? You think they're doing that because they want to, or is it a move for survival? Right? Have everybody noticed they always pushing the black woman with the so-called white man? They got black women doing this. They got a lot of these black female agent provocateurs out there that's trying to push young black women to get with white men and have their babies. You got a lot of these black agent provocateur black females that's out here because they know that a couple white people together can't save the human race. They can't save the white race. They can't say these people on their own can't save their race. They're going to have to go to the so-called black woman, which brings me back to this time where they had this Caucasian billionaire, and he was talking about how black women's genetic material is like gold, and he had, we're going to harvest this. He talking to these women like they just damn talking about these women. They sitting right there in front of me. I forgot what this guy's name was. He talking about how their genetics is gold and how they're going to harvest their genetic material and whatever the case may be, which we already know they use a lot of stem cells from the aborted fetuses of black women. They use those stem cells. That's why they try to push you to get abortion, a lot of you so-called black women, because they using your damn stem cells of your aborted fetuses. And they giving it to a bunch of old Caucasians with money. Okay? That's survival. They're trying to survive, man. They know they dying out. Okay? They know they dying out. So, in order to survive, in order to be able to live, go forward, they have to mix in with so-called black females. All right? So, that's all I got on that. All right? A lot of people who ever listen, they might be offended by it. But again, this is not a shot at white people. It's not a shot at the human race. This is just the reality of their creation. Again, since they always sit around talking about our origins, since they always so big on talking about our origins and where we come from, making up stuff and lying, now let's just tell the truth about where they come from. Let's tell the truth about why they got hair like animals. Let's tell the truth about why they still get fleas in their fur. Why they shave themselves down, why they know that they're nothing but human beings and nothing but upgrade, nothing but upscale or upgraded animals. That's all humans are. They're nothing but upgraded animals, more advanced animals. That's all humans are. But at the core of the human race, you still see that animal mentality, that animal instinct to kill. Right, to do degenerate things. And that's another reason why they do the things they do, is because there's a war that's always going on within these humans to unalive, to the animal comes out. So they're always at war with that animal side in them. They're always going to be at war with that. So that's all I got. I'm about to close this out. But before I do, can y'all do me a favor? All right, listen. Y'all know about the first American Street Music Festival that's coming. Everybody on here know about that. The first American Street Music Festival that's coming. Well, it's going to happen again. This is going to be the second year we rebranded as the First American Street Music Festival. We're going to be in Atlanta in May, celebrating our first American heritage. We're celebrating our first American heritage as being the first Americans of America, residential Americans of America, the first residents of America, meaning that we didn't come from no place else. We are the first Americans of America. And as first Americans, we are going to be celebrating that. And we want you all to come out who listening. We need your support. We need your donations. Please donate. Donate to FASM Fest 2026. FASM Fest 2026. You'll see it across the screen at the bottom. Donate to FASM Fest 20. Go to FASMFest.com or go to our Cash App. Cash App $ ROA Collective. The Cash App is $ ROA Collective. Please donate $10, $20, whatever you can. Over $10. Everybody who listening, y'all can throw in $10. Well, I'm a $10 y'all to death to this thing come. We trying to raise $24,000 and we just getting this thing kicked off. Some money's coming in, but we need to pick the pace up. Let's do this. Come on, y'all. I'm going to be out there talking, running my mouth. I'm going to be answering questions, everything. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be food. It's going to be entertainment, live music, all that. We're celebrating who we are as first Americans. And we are inviting you all who are listening, and we here to embrace our first American heritage, our first American indigenous heritage. We here to embrace who we are as first Americans of America, and it's about time we did this as first Americans, as the only real Americans. It's about time we did this, that we had our own first American street music festival. And again, it's happening May 16th and 17th. Which is gonna be on Saturday and Sunday. We did it last year. It was a success. We pulled every string to make that happen. So please, we need your support. We're trying to raise $24,000 to do this because, as y'all should know, festivals are expensive. We have police to pay. We have porta toilets. We have stages to pay for. So we want our people's support. So those of you who really, rock with me, those of y'all who really been listening to me for years, acknowledging the truth that I've been always giving to y'all, can y'all give back to this festival for us? Again, it's not for me, it's for us. I want everybody to come out who's donating to that. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have trail rides for the kids. This is a community event. For the community, for the children, for the parents, for families, for first American families, for the children. So could y'all please donate? FASM Fest 2026. Go to FASMFest.com. Donate to FASM Fest Cash App. The FASM Fest Cash App is $ ROA Collective. $ ROA Collective. Again, $ ROA Collective. Donate, please donate to this. We let's do this. Let's support this. Y'all stay supporting these Caucasians and whatever they doing, whether you paying bills, rent, whatever you doing, going to the store, giving it. Y'all stay burning your money up with these other races of people. Let's do something for us. Let's have this for us, for first Americans. Okay? Again, $ ROA Collective. Go to the Cash App. And when you send your donations in, please put down, this is for the First American Street Music Festival. This is for FASM. Just put for FASM Fest 2026. FASM Fest, and we're going to give you a shout out. The more money you give, the more we're going to shout you out. We appreciate you. We're going to be shouting you out. The people that gave last year, we appreciate you. Please, let's keep this going. We need your support. Let's make this happen for us. Because again, we throw away our money on everything. Let's give our money to something worthwhile, because your children are going to learn something, see who they really are as first Americans. Your children are going to see, they're going to have a good time. Again, a family event, Saturday and Sunday, May 16th and 17th. Come on out, FASM Fest 2026. Also, if you want to become a registered first American in the Republic of America worldwide, ROA worldwide, you go to ROAworldwide.com and register to become a first American in the Republic of America, a first registered American in the Republic of America. We are registering as first Americans in our own American community because we need our own American community. We already have our own American language. We already have our own American names. And we have our own American flags. That's for our people. That's for us. We need our own community, our own American community, because we are the first Americans here. So all that black nonsense, all that African American nonsense, all that Negro, all that stuff is going out the window, man. We evolving beyond that. So please, like I said, hit the support the festival, become a registered member if you acknowledging what we saying in these words, what I'm saying. Also, go to my Mentellect Patreon page. Become a patron of my Mentellect Patreon page. I do a show every night, a cast every night, and it goes on the Mentellect Patreon page immediately the day afterwards. I do this on StreamYard, and I only do it for private people of our community. And then it goes on StreamYard. If you become a patron for $15 a month, you can hear all of that stuff that I put out every night. So Mentellect, MENTELLECT, Patreon, Mentellect Patreon. Also, go to my Ben Manhattan LinkedIn page. Go to my Ben Manhattan LinkedIn page. I mean, see me not LinkedIn, my Ben Manhattan Linktree page. Sorry, Linktree. Ben Manhattan on Linktree. See what we got going on. Also, subscribe to this, share this, and subscribe to Supreme American TV. So subscribe to Supreme American TV. Also, subscribe to American Indigenous TV. American Sister Enra Vanzetta, subscribe to American Indigenous TV. And also purchase Draconian Rules clothing wear, the clothing line. And yeah, I think I plugged everything. Again, FASM Fest 2026. We need your support. Donate. Go to ROA $ROA Collective, $ROA Collective, and donate. This is for FASM Fest 2026. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for rocking with me tonight. Thank you all. About to close this out. And Amen I trust, and Amen I think, and then Amen I close the message. Also, check me out. On TikTok. I'm over there on TikTok. I'll be doing lives over there on TikTok. So check me out over there on TikTok. And that's about it. When am I closing out? Well, you know I love me some music. I'm gonna start putting my music together. I'm gonna start putting my music together because trying to do music that's, I don't want to get copyright strikes. So I got my own music I'm about to release. So stay tuned for that. I'll see y'all here on Friday. I'll see y'all back here on Friday. Same time, same space. Good night.